Okay, as humans, we love to make up stories. Well, maybe we don't love it, but we do it. So, what do I mean by that? We often will make up a story around a certain situation, place, person. For example, I'll give a really good example. Let's say you give someone a call or you text someone and they don't call you back. It's like a day goes by, 2 days go by, 3 days go by. And in those days that are going by, we can make up a ton of stories about what is going on. They don't like me. They don't want anything to do with me. Oh, what if something bad happened to them? I mean, so many stories can happen and so much can be made up around someone not calling us back. So that's one example. And it happens all of the time. We could make up stories about the what if game. What if this happens in the future? We make up stories about ourselves all the time. A lot of times around doubt, self-doubt, fear, our capabilities. Like we make up stories about, oh, they won't like it, or they're not going to like me, or I don't know what I'm doing. All of this is story, right? We make up stories if we're late, right? We'll get into story. Wow, I was late because this happened and this happened and this happened. And while that story may be true, we're in story, we're not in responsibility. But we make up stories all of the time, especially about ourselves. And 9.999% out of the time, the stories are not true. Now, I've gotten this question before. Well, how do I know it's just not my intuition? When you're in a story, like maybe something bad did happen to that person, or maybe that person doesn't like me, whatever the story is. Here's a very simple answer. If you are in fear, worry, distraction, anxiety, sadness, most likely you're not coming from your intuition. Intuition is clear as a bell, crisp, and it doesn't have emotion attached to it. It's like, boom, you get a hit, boom, you get a download. It's what we do with that download. It's what we do with it. And then we start placing a lot of meaning on it and things like that. But intuition, in its clear, amazing, crystal clear way of being, intuition, it lands and it's without all of these other emotions attached to it. If you're in fear or worry, you are not in your intuition. You are in story. So here is a really powerful thing to do. Really powerful. Ask yourself, when you're in a story or a what if situation or worry, particularly worry, stop, pause, and say, what story am I making up about this? What story am I making up about myself and my capabilities and who I am, and all the other things? And when you stop and break it down into story, you can say, wow, do I really want to tell myself that story today? Or I'm going to stop this story and land in trust. Or maybe I'll pick up another story, or maybe I'll just be in what is. So really watch. It can be really fun when you start playing with it, and watch the stories that you make up in your mind. And let's say you're making up a story about someone else, which we do all the time. If you feel like you need to speak to that person or you want to speak to that person, this is a very powerful way to communicate. The story I'm making up about you and I is, or the story that I'm in about you is. So you are responsible for the story that you're making up. You're not saying you did this to me, or I'm afraid that you did. It's like, I'm in this like story that you don't like me, or I'm in a story that you blah, 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 blah. And then it takes the power away from that, it neutralizes it. It neutralizes it. So that's just a little tip. And then when you do that, it opens up conversation. So watch your stories. We're making up stories about ourselves and the world and the people around us all day long. And when we realize we're in story, then we can stop it and come back into groundedness, intuition, power, light, generosity, clarity. Fear is not intuition. Worry is not intuition. You know intuition when you feel it. All right, my name is Beth Osmer, and thank you so much for watching. And even if you're making up a story about me right now, because you're watching this video, what story you're making up. It's kind of fun, right? It's kind of fun to play with. All right, have an amazing, beautiful week, and I will see you on the next video.